Now, leading on from the last chapter, what I want to do is I want to create a button under here that'll, when clicked on, will take us to the flights page. Another button here that when you click on it goes to hotel accommodation, and another button that will take us to villa accommodation. Now, the first thing I need to do in this particular case is go to the flights page, because I need to grab the link, and I do that by clicking up there. So if I select it and press Ctrl C, I can pop that into a program like Notepad, just for future reference. So that's the URL of the flights page. If I go here and click on where it says hotel accommodation, up there is the URL of the hotel accommodation page. So again, I'll press Ctrl C to copy that into memory, and I'll bring up Notepad and I'll just pop it into Notepad. Then finally, I'll go to villa accommodation. Again, I'll go and grab the URL up there, and I'll press Ctrl C to copy it and put it into something like Notepad again. So that is the URL of the first button we're going to use, the URL that points to the flights page. So I'll just copy that into memory so I can use it in a minute. Now if I go back to the home page, and if we enable the Visual Builder, what I need to do is scroll down a little bit, and within this section I go here and then I click here, because what this does, it adds a new module but within this section. So I click on Add New Module, and I just scroll down to where it says Button, and now I can specify what the button is about. So I'll just put the word flights in there. And where it says link, I'll click here and then paste in the URL to the flights page. So you can see here I've got the text is flights, the link is linking to the page to do with flights. Down here we can specify other parameters, so you can specify to have it in the same tab or in a different window. In this case, the target is on our website, so we just leave it as in the same window. If you go to where it says design, at the moment you can see it over here, it's kind of hard to see. If I go and click on design, there's various options we've got here to do with formatting that button. So first of all, we've got alignment. So at the moment this is sort of centered, but this isn't. So if I click here, this will align the button. It's kind of hard to see at the moment, but we'll sort that out in a minute, but it is at least centered now. If I come down here and click where it says text, you can have light text, looks like that, or you can have dark text, looks like that. So in this case, if I just simply click on light text, it's kind of easier to read. Obviously if it's a light background, then not so good. If I click here down where it says button, I can click here to use custom styles, and that allows me to change a lot more items. So for instance, you can have the button text size, so you can have it sort of big or not so big. So you can fiddle around with this until it looks right. That's probably okay. So we're using 20 pixel size for the text there. Then as we come down here, you've got the button text color. So you could have black if you wanted. So that kind of shows up quite well. It looks a bit harsh. Let's go for blue. A bit hard to read. Let's go for brown. Hard to read. So again, we might go for black. But down here, you've got the button background color. So what you can do is you can click here and you can go for something like maybe bright blue. So now that we've changed the background color, what we could do is go back up here to the button text color, maybe change that to white, and as you can see, that's a lot more readable now. So really it's a question of getting the right text color and the right background color. As you come down here, there's various other things you can change. So we've got a border width of 2. If I drag this along here, I mean, it's pretty obvious, you can see the effect. So it's well over the top, so we'll put it back to, I think, 2. That control there. You can control the border color. At the moment the border color is white. let's say you wanted this, so you could have something like that, or maybe in blue, but the rest of it's already blue, so it's not going to show up. How about green? Not so good. Red? Not so good. Black? Bit harsh. Or you go for white. In this case, I think we'll leave it as white. Then you've got the button border radius. If you drag this along here, it adds sort of rounded corners. As you can see, they can get very rounded. So it really depends what sort of style you like. So we'll go for something like that, which has a 9-point radius on the corner, so it gives you these rounded corners. You've got various other options here. You can change the button letter spacing. In this case, we'll just leave it as it is. And you can change the font, the weight, the style, all the rest of it. If I move over this, you notice you've got a little icon. If you want to change that icon to something else, maybe you want to change it to, I don't know, let's have a look. Maybe that one there. Means that when you mouse over it, you get that icon. If you want a different icon, maybe the tick, you got the tick. So we'll leave it as the tick just to illustrate the point there. And as you come down here, you've got various other things here. The little icon there, you can change the color of that. You can change the icon placement. So you can fiddle around with all these different options. You've also got spacing options, so if you wanted to decrease or increase the space between here, basically you click down here and you can change the padding top and bottom, or left and right as well. And then we've got the usual things like, you know, shadows and what have you. And we've got other things like animation, which we'll talk about later. But if I save my changes, there we are. We've got the button there, and I won't actually do it just yet, but if I exited the Visual Builder and clicked on it, it would go to the right place. Now we need buttons for these other ones, of course, so as usual, what I'll do is I'll go over here, click twice to duplicate the buttons rather than do it all over again. So I've got my three modules here now. So if I want this one moved over to here, then I'll just simply click here and drag it over and just sort of dump it underneath this one. And I'll drag this one over here as well. So now I've got the three buttons. They're all identical at the moment. They're all saying flights and they all link to the flight page. So what I've got to do is change the labels first. So this one here, I'll go and click on it. This is to do with hotel accommodation. So I'll change it from flights to hotel accommodation. Go back to my notepad where I copied the URL for the right page. So I've done the button text there. I just have to click on it as link and get rid of what's in there. Paste in the correct URL for hotel accommodation and save my changes. Then finally, with this last button for, at the moment it says flights, I want to change this to villa accommodation. So I'll click over this, click here, change the text to villa accommodation, nip over to Notepad. That gets the correct URL for the villa accommodation page. And I click on link, get rid of what's already there, paste in the correct URL, save my changes, and then go and save the page. Now if I exit the Visual Builder and scroll down a bit so we can see those, if I move over here, down at the bottom here, if you look, if I just simply mouse over here, you can see that is linking to the flights page. Similarly, if you move over here, that links, you can see it down the bottom left there, that links to hotel accommodation, and this one links to villa accommodation. So let's test the buttons. Click here, it should take us to flights, which it does. Go back to the home page, scroll down. This time we'll click on where it says hotel accommodation. So that's working okay. Then finally, if we click on this button, that should take us to the villa accommodation page, which it does. So there we go. Incidentally, they're a bit riggedy-raggedy because they're not all on the same level, because in this case I've got a single line, here I've got two lines. If you wanted all the buttons to add up in a row, I mean there's the the keyword row, instead of just sort of popping them underneath, what I would have done was created a new row underneath here. I would have popped these booking buttons in there, and they'd all be on the same line, as it were.